Welcome back to 2024, Thomas, the first foreign Friday of the new year. How was your holiday season?
Eventful.
Eventful? Good, positive. Any events that led to some winning tickets in your pocket that we didn't know about?
No, I kind of kept my hands in my pockets.
So you wanted to, you didn't want the coal in the stocking, so you tried at the last minute to be a good boy.
Yeah, I looked at some stuff and came to the conclusion I really didn't see much, so I decided I'd take a pass.
Well, sometimes that's the best discipline you can have as a horse player, right? Knowing, as Kenny Loggins said, knowing when to hold them and knowing when to fold them. So
Yep.
Thomas,
and I decided
Kenny Rogers, right? Kenny Rogers, not Kenny Loggins. All right. Anyway, so what are we going to do today? Kempton, right? What's the story with the Kempton track?
Kempton's Tapeta all weather. It's one of the ones that are on that circuit. They race year round there, but it's basically at this time of year, as you saw by the quality of some of these fields, they're not the best. This is not top class racing at all by any stretch of the imagination, but it does yield some surprises. And let's face it, this is a good training ground for. It used to be just the certain trainers would only train on these types of tracks, and now you see the John Gosdens of the world coming here and Charlie Appleby. Later they want to get a race in or whatever, they'll put the horse on these all-weather surfaces at one of these tracks to run before venturing out into the turf world.
Mm-hmm. Well, they say there's all the jockeys and trainers that we've talked on say that they're talked to in our horse center shows and the old I forget what the name of the podcast was right now, but in the old podcast days, a lot of the folks that would come on would tell us that they loved that transition between all weather and turf, that there was some correlation there. First race we're going to do today, Thomas, is race 1. It's the racingtv.com apprentice handicap. They're all handicaps. This one is going to be 7 furlongs on the all-weather track. I have a nice image, as we always do here. They're going to start here, and they're going to go around, Thomas. Did they go all the way around? Or they go all the way around and come back down. They don't cut the corner here, right? Only the 3-legged horses do that, right?
No, this is, they're going around. They go the outer track. There's 2 tracks. There's the inner, which is for longer races, and that outer track.
So they're going to go all the way around and come back down here.
Your little arrows go, so you just hit that first turn, start in the back stretch, hit that first turn, and go around and come home.
And it looks like the bank, it looks cool because this has some undulations in the image. They try to 3D it as much as they can. It looks like that turn over there on the outside is kind of banked, no?
A little bit, yeah.
So from your experience at this track, I know with our experience at the Gulfstream Park, typically the Tapeta doesn't favor any particular running style. Have you found that to be the case in your Kempton experience?
I would, it depends on the race. I would say in the sprints, I prefer to be on the inside rather than the outside. Where the distance races, and we have one of those 2-mile events. Let's face it, they can be a little while before they really going to start actually doing any real running. They're just going to look for position and tuck in and see what happens.
All right. Well, let's see what you think is going to happen in the first race. Race number 1.
These are
5 horses only 5 horses.
Yeah. We should mention though that this is a race for apprentice jockeys only. So that's kind of a nice way to get some win in for the apprentice or just some experience.
And it's a sort of holiday bonus check.
Yeah, essentially, but it's also nice to see that because we don't do that in this country. We don't have the ability to let the inexperienced or less experienced jockeys being able to get some experience in a race at what I would say the same type of level jockey. I mean, there's obviously not everybody's going to be Steve Coffin, but but this gives some experience, and that's kind of nice. They also have amateur racing too, which we bet on, And those are for riders who are obviously not ever going to be jockeys. They're just going to do it for the enjoyment of the sport.
I think I should try for one of those. Anyway, Tom, who do you
I
think's going to win? If I were, I guarantee that's the horse you'd want to bet against. You can just X that
Absolutely.
one out on your past performances. And so who can you not X out here?
I took number 1. Ultramarine is my top choice. Withdrawal 1. Won last time out at this level. Has a great record on the all-weather. And only wins have come on the all-weather. So I did enough last time, and I think he's got plenty to do in this group. Again, it goes with that experience. The horse has got the experience. Let's see if the jockey can get him home.
Mm-hmm.
I took 4. Conquest of Power is my next choice. Withdraw 2. Beaten favorite last time out at Southwell. Subtle, and he runs mid-pack and moves at the end, and I think for this kind of a field, which is small, he's going to have to be a little more forwardly pushed up. So if the jockey can get him in a little better position, I think that he'll have a chance to get something. He only has 1 win, and it's been a while. That was at Sandown, and it was on the turf. Right now, his form looks okay, so I think it's good enough. And finally, I'm going to take number 2, Bowwood, withdraw 4. Ran 3rd last time out at Subtle. Was never really in contention in the race. When I say it ran 3rd, it was the horses in the 2. There were 2, and then the rest of the pack is the best way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he has an advantage of the 7 furlong distance, but he has never won. So keep that in mind. But he's like some of these other ones, he's going to be more forwardly placed to get a result.
Well, it's only 5 horses getting forwardly placed. Well, when we talked with Scott Fiedler, who wins a lot of money in those tournaments, those cash tournaments from HorseTourney.com and others, mentioned that in these 5 horse fields, you always take the longest shot, right? That would be Rennis Me. I don't know if that's the case because I didn't do that. I went with the one you ended off with, Bowwood. You mentioned 7 furlongs being a good distance for Bowwood, and indeed, last time out, he improved his 7 furlong time by nearly 2 seconds. And I like to see when a horse is running faster. It's typically a sign that the horse is coming into good form. Ultramarine, the 1 horse, looks like that one's going to be your 6-5 favorite, somewhere in there. All of its best work has been on the synthetic track, 7 races, a couple of wins, a second, and a couple of thirds. Whereas if you put that horse on any other surface 16 times, he's got this many wins, a couple of seconds, and 3 thirds. So all weather or nothing for Ultramarine. And then I also have Conquest of Power as my 4th pick. Maybe I should make it Rennis May to go with the Scott Fiedler angle. But I feel like Conquest of Power does have a chance to be better off in the second start after a layoff. And Sean says I only get 3 picks in 5 horse fields. So that's it for me. Along with the new year, Tom, bringing back you and I for Foreign Friday, we also get to bring back the predictor today.
That's correct.
Hip Hop Parade. Look at, they got a nighttime racing over there with the.
It'll be a little late. Their races start. Of course, these are 5:15, so that makes it about 11 o'clock for us. 11 a.m. 11:15.
Yeah, the opening race is at 12:15 p.m. Eastern. And here we go. And according to this guy back here, Lady Manyara, looks like you can. That was the one I was riding in the amateur race right there, but I wouldn't even come that close. So first up, it looks like Ultramarine is going to be your winner, according to the predictor. Conquest of Power right there. Bowwood in the mix there, and there's that longest shot. So maybe those 2 can flip places, and you actually do get the longest shot in the money, Thomas, to fatten up your exactas and trifectas. We're going to do 5 races. We're going to skip forward out of race 2 and 3. I think if I remember correctly, a lot of those, at least one of them, Tom, I know, was loaded with first-time starters. So let's just go ahead and jump off to race number 4. I'd like to send do I allow them? Maybe later.
Maybe at some point.
At some point. It's kind of like on your phone when you get that call from Scam Likely. It's my favorite person of all to call. This one's going to be 1 mile. It is the UNIBET 3 UNIBOOSTS, just to get not one, but 3 UNIBOOSTS a day. Handicap for a mile for the London Mile Series qualifier. It's a Class 3 race. 1 mile, they're going to start here, make their way around that embankment, come back down, Tom. So it looks like they got plenty of backstretch, plenty of front stretch to work with there. I would suspect that you want good positioning so that when you come out of this turn, you can hit the jets and come to the winner's enclosure.
I would agree.
All right, fantastic. I got something right so far today in Tom's view. Hopefully we get our picks right. Let's see where you think is the right place to go.
That would be preferable. I went with number 8. United Front is my top choice. It says draw 4. Last time out was a beaten favorite. The comment was that he had no room at the end, and I watched the replay, and I would agree by 100%. He did not have any place to go. And he lost. He ran last in the race, but he was only 5 lengths out of the front bunch, so that may have been just enough. He's raced at higher levels in the past, but been a while since he's has a win. He has a pretty good record on the all-weather. He has 28 starts. He's got 5 wins, 6 seconds, and 5/3. I did think the interesting thing was with the trainers wheeling this horse back off 7 days, so he must have got a good workout. Now let's see maybe we can get something done here. Oh, I'm gonna hop on him. I'm gonna take number 7, Plant a Dream.
The Inception horse.
My next choice. And reasonable effort last time out, ran 6th, considering he hadn't run in 2 years. He's done well on the all-weather in the past. He's got 7 starts with 2 wins and 3 seconds. Yes, this one is a bit of a shot, but I'm looking for in the money. I'm not looking for the horse to win.
The quintessential Tom horse.
And finally, I'm going to take number 1, APPRENTICE, with draw 3. And last race, best way to describe it was a mess. Starting gate issues, was slow into stride. The pace was slow. That didn't help many. But I went and looked at its Kempton record, and it has 1 win and 1 second from 2 starts. So he's been away for 30 days. If they straighten out whatever happened, confusion, he's done well at this track in the past, and I'm hoping he'll do it again.
I think Court of Session is going to be your winner, Thomas. This one is just this far away from winning its last 2 races. Like I mentioned in the first race with Bowood, this one too, Court of Session, improved its final time faster by about 3 seconds. That's a much improved horse right there. Let's see if that trend can continue in the UNIBET 3 Uniboost a day handicap. Number 4, Talus Evolvere. Number 2 pick for me in race number 4. This one was the betting favorite in the last 3 races, so it burns a little bit of money from time to time. And I know what improving the U.S. speed figure 3 times in a row that means, according to Barry Meadows. That is what we call an alpha handicapping angle, wins at 15% or more. Let's see if that holds true too in England. I agree with you, and Aratus as my 3rd choice. Thomas, usually well backed by the bettors, so the folks in the UK like this guy. You did point out that the horse was a winner and a 2nd place finisher in 2 at Kempton, but that 2nd place finish was only by a length, maybe a little bit of in-race luck, and that horse is undefeated in the all-weather track. And then finally, I agree with you too, Tom, on Plant the Dream. Somehow we both landed on the same long shot as a part of our selections today. Guy was off for more than a year. Came back in its last race in the first up and ran a pretty even effort, nothing spectacular. But if you kind of dig through the horse's past performance, just a few times the horse make it to a 2nd start after a lie-off. That 2nd start showed major improvement from the first one. Hopefully that pattern repeats today. We both get paid at a price with Plant a Dream, the Leonardo DiCaprio Inception horse. Let's see what the Dream Predictor has to say about race number 4. Looks like it's going to be pretty competitive. And at the wire, Crystal Caskew. Tom, a name that neither one of us put into our picks. Any reason why you didn't like that guy?
The form. I didn't see anything in the form. The current form, or I didn't see anything that suggested the horse will improve based on what it's been doing.
I don't remember why I didn't like it, but I don't. So it doesn't make my picks.
Well, it doesn't make either our picks, but if it comes in at 12-1, we'll be kicking ourselves.
Yes.
And the predictor was right and we were crazy.
And we won't tell you where we'll be kicking ourselves, but just know it won't be comfortable. Race number 5 is next on our list here. It's the Unibet Extra Place Offers Everyday Handicap. So they give you some extra place offers every single day. It is a Class 3. This one, they're going to go to 6 furlongs. We talked about that 7 furlong affair. So they're going to start right about on that turn, go around that embankment, come back down. So that turn looks like it's going to come kind of early, Thomas. I would imagine that you want a little bit of gate speed to get yourself good position going into that turn. What do you think?
Yeah, it definitely favors the inside horses. So you have to seriously look at them. But I also look at the horses that the jockey more likely take to right to the rail or try to get some cover and just bide its time, so to speak, and then pull out and go.
Save a little bit of ground, go wide, and then see if you can outrun everybody home.
You know, let's face it, the race in these kind of races, it's more of a slower paced front end, but when you hit that 3 furlongs left to go mark, then they seem to really pick it up.
Yeah, we had noticed that when
we've had positions. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's because when we had those jockeys that have made that transition from the UK over to the United States, they do note that over there they tend to be a bit more patient at the get-go, whereas over here everything is let's get going. Right?
Get going right away. And if you've got the horse that can do it, that certainly makes sense. Or you got a field that's going to be dawdling behind you, why not sit on the front and let them come get you?
Yeah, and run some reasonable fractions.
Yeah.
Just doesn't seem to work for Irad when he goes over there to the Royal Ascot. He's kind of struggled over there. All right, Tom.
Yeah,
well, hopefully we're not struggling with our picks.
Because it's very different.
That's a process for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it does require some work. I think you really have to spend time there understanding how that kind of racing is and the undulations. I mean, let's face it, there are not many tracks in the world that are like some of the ones that we do in England.
Mm-mm.
And
Did you see that?
Kentucky Downs is the closest one we could come to, and that has its undulations. And certainly, Irad's done okay there, but not great. He's not but the other jockeys have done much better there, and I think they adapt to those conditions.
Yeah, and then we all over here bitch about that track, right? Because we can't. Most people, they can't find winners over there, but we seem to be able to pluck them out. Did you notice that? Did you see that Ocean Murphy is riding down at Gulfstream Park?
Yeah, I did. And also, there's another guy, Sean Levy, is also riding there. And
yeah, I found that interesting.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, a little vacation.
Is good. And what Sean Levy talked about wanting to get more dirt experience, because he said he wants to ultimately get some Breeder Cups rides on the dirt. And he said, well, I don't have a lot of that experience, and why not do it here? And I mean, he's not a major jockey in it, but he certainly is not a bad jockey either. I mean, he's a good, I would say, the upper level, but not the elite, not the William Buick's type.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I happened to catch that on a card the other day, and I was like, wait a minute. It was his first ride down there at Gulfstream Park. I'm like, what the hell's he doing here? And I think, well, maybe he's down here on vacation, and he figured, down in Miami on vacation, catch a couple of nice rides while he's down there. But it looks like he's there for good. All right, Tom, enough about
he's there for the
news.
Championship part of the meet, and then he'll go back. And of course, there's with racing in Dubai and other areas of the world at this point. When he gets the call, he's certainly going to not ignore it.
Well, you're about to make a call on a horse here in race number 5, and I would think it'd be wise for the bettors not to ignore it. So who is that horse they should not ignore?
Well, I'm going to take number 3. Blind Beggar is my top choice. Has one of the outside draws of draw 8. Mm-hmm. Last race, he raced forward initially, and then he weakened and finished 9th. I was going 5 furlongs. In the race before, he won by a neck on at Chelmsford, and that's on the all-weather in Class 4. He does have a respectable record on the all-weather, but it's one of your favorite angles, which is he's got 6 starts and 3 wins. And he's going to go back up to Class 3, try this race. To me, a winner, he'll run a stinker. I'm hoping it'll be the win side of it, and that's why I put him on top.
And the nice thing about those all or nothing horses, Tom, and you see it over here, I mean, the bettors, they're not sure what to do with those horses, and they tend to get good odds. And if it's the all horse that shows up 9-1 right now, and who won't take a $20 winner?
Yeah, I don't complain. And if I found also, you look on there that says there's 2 tips. So somebody likes them.
They think it's going to be.
The odds have gone up and down. So there is some interest in the market on them. So we'll see what happens. Number 4, Rocking Ends is my next choice. So I'll draw 3. It was in a Class 3 race the last time out and sat in the front of the field and then gave away and ran 7th. That was his first start since July. So I'm going with the angle. Yeah, he needed a race. He's won at the Class 4 level and lower levels before. He really hasn't gotten up to this level. But I think this is a nice spot for him to get in the money run, and that's where I'm going to put him. Finally, number 2, Bosch, my final choice. It has draw 6. This is a horse that has run 3 times on the all-weather, and he's never won. But he has ran 3rd at Edling Field last time out, so maybe starting to think about it. At the Class 2 level, he's done nothing, but at the lower levels below this, he's done pretty well. One of the things I noted on this one is we do see a jockey change. It's fairly significant. We're going from an apprentice rider to probably one of the better riders on the all-weather, and David Probert is going to be riding this horse. So I'm looking at the angle that the trainer saw something and said, let's get someone maybe a little better, right?
A little more experience.
Let's see what we can do with that horse.
Well, like we do so many times, Tom, where you leave off, I start up. I'm going to go with Bosch too. There was that story down in Miami of the aliens in the mall. I don't know if anybody saw that, but it was lit up all over Twitter. I know Chris Bosch, a lot of people thought he was an alien. He lives in Miami, so maybe it was Chris Bosch that was in the mall down there. But I like Bosch, the horse here. Last time out, Tom, it had a little bit of a sluggish start and then really rallied hard at the end of its last race. So I'm expecting a better start and then a better performance in the second up, and that's what the CV says to expect. Number 1, Al-Hari. We'll go with that. It's a pronunciation today. Essentially, my favorite kind of horse, Thomas, that all or nothing type. 27 races, 7 of them winners, a couple of seconds in there. But 6 of those 7 W's came on the all-weather track, the synthetic stuff. And this horse making its first start after a layoff. The last 2 times, the horse fired coming off the bench with a win and a second. Number 3, another horse we agree on here today, Thomas, Blind Beggar, is making the classic 3rd start after a layoff. Does, as you pointed out, Tom, its best work when the horse is forwardly placed. And I think we both expect the horse to be there today or tomorrow, whenever you're watching. And then finally, the 5-horse Expert Agent. That's us, Thomas, on horses, especially on Foreign Friday. This one doesn't usually make it 2 races in a row before it goes to the bench. You see race, rest, race, rest, race, rest. Well, the few times the horse has gone race, race, that second start was a lot better because the horse fired again with a win and a very close 3rd in the 2 times the horse was able to make it 2 times without heading to the barn. So 2-1, 3-5 for me in race number 5. That leaves 2 horse races to go for you and I, Tom. So if my math is correct, that should take us off to race number 6. That's indeed what we're going to do. And you kind of you foreshadowed, little prelude to what was going to go on with one of these long races here today. This is a 2-miler, Thomas. The Unibet 0% mission handicap. Probably about the chance you have of putting this one superfecta in order at 2 miles. But I don't even know they have 2 miles on the thing here. I don't even, what, they just start here and go around twice? I have no idea where they're going to start.
Exactly. Yeah, the outer 2 mile, and It's in the back stretches where they start.
I would imagine right about the finish line.
Yeah, they go around twice. Go 4 turns.
All right. Well, let's see how that one works out. So 4 turns, they go boom, boom, boom. That's a lot of turns, Tom.
Yeah.
We don't watch too many 4-turn races over here.
Well, unless you watch a half-mile harness racing, I would think, I would agree with you. Because we don't see many bull ring tracks that run races this long.
No, you don't. I can't imagine seeing a 2-mile race at Charlestown. That would be pretty interesting.
It would take a while to run the race.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but they're always about 15 minutes behind post time. I guess if there was a 2-miler, they might be a half an hour behind post time. Yeah. All right. So we have no idea. I would imagine like any 2-mile race, they're probably going to jog out of the gates.
The other race.
What's that?
You forgot something on the other race.
Gosh darn it. You're right about that. How can I be? So this is the bad part of getting old. The predictor. There we go. Going back to the previous starts. So forgive us for those of you who watch when we post the times for rewinding a little bit. Oh, look, a very competitive race, Thomas. Tiger Bay. Once again, you and I are screwed. A horse that neither one of us mentioned in there. Another horse in there that we didn't mention is Walking on Clouds. So you folks just pass on what Tom and I think for the previous race 5, and just single up Tiger Bay with Walking on Clouds and an ice cold exacta, and you'll probably be all right. All right. So since we're 0%, like the 0% mission, I'd imagine with this race, the first mile around is going to be a jog. Half of the second mile, they'll probably pick it up. And then for the last half mile home, everybody's going to be busting hump to get to the finish line. Tom, who do you think gets the job done?
I'm going to take number 4, Mal Wood, with draw 9. After being off for a year, ran second at 13.5 furlongs in class 3. And of course, this is the classic needs a race. Well, I thought it did pretty well for being off that long. Again, this is one, if it's got to be forwardly placed in my mind for it to have a chance. And it's one at this distance, and it's one at this track in the fast. Number 11, Indigo Times, is going to be my next choice with draw 7. Hasn't raced since July, but it does have a good record on the all-weather with 13 starts, 6 wins, a second, and a third. And also, I want to note his record. The track is probably going to be standard to slow because of the weather there has been really rainy. And on that time of going, the horse has got 3 starts, 2 wins, and a second. Distance is not an issue, and he won once off a layoff. So maybe.
And if you only get one right on the day, Thomas, that's the one they get at 50-1. It'll make your day no matter what happens in the other races.
Yeah, well, I think that layoff is, but you look at his record, and he tends to like the all weather a little more than he likes that turf. And then I'm going to take number 10, Glenster. The draw 12 is my final choice. Ran third with issues last out. Really, there was no match for the top 2 horses. Yeah. Again, he hasn't raced since October, but that's not too long off. So overall, it wasn't a bad effort last out, running third. He beat all the ones that couldn't get any better than that. Good on the all-weather. Again, another one who's got 11 starts, 4 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. My only concern is distance. This is the longest race it's ever run. But obviously they see something. Either maybe a big, nice price, or it could be a complete bust, and you could ignore everything we just said.
Well, interesting thing about race 6, Tom, 12 horses in here. You pick 3, I pick 4. That's a combined total of 7. We don't agree on 1. So it kind of tells you a sort of betting race that this one probably will prove to be. I'm going to start with Planet Legend. You mentioned you were a bit concerned about your last pick's ability to get the distance. Well, I have no concern about Planet Legend getting to 2 miles. Been running a little bit more than that, jumping over fences. So distance and fitness not going to be a problem after jumping the hurdles at 2 miles, Thomas. So why? Guys jumping hurdles. But he's been on the all-weather twice in its life. And he finished second in both of those. And both of them were very close seconds. little bit of racing luck, could have won. And this time going to go a little bit longer than he did in those two, which could be the difference maker here in the third start after a layoff. Number 2 gets the second call for me. Bascule, we'll go with that. Oh, I didn't realize that one. That one looks like the one that the bettors expect to win. It started off at 4-1. Its odds have been since cut in half. It has raced well at Kempton 5 times out to win a second and a third. It's also done pretty well on the all-weather track. 11 races, finishing in the money, 7 of them, winning 4. Sarson's Risk, the 5-horse. Next call for me. Getting 4 tips. Looks like the tipsters, those 2 are the top 2 according to the tipsters right in here. This one, I think, when I went through the numbers on this horse, appears to have the most backlash to me. It is a horse that improved in its last start, and it says that this horse will be steamrolling, coming the fastest at the end. So the 2 miles with all those late speed, if the race goes like I think, they jog the first mile, pick it up a little bit in the second half, and then fly home. This one will be flying the fastest. And then, of course, I have to have my favorite type in here, Tom. True Courage, the 7-horse. That is your all or nothing horse. I'm going to go ahead and toss that last race out. That first up was just awful. Maybe it's a mistake to do that, but it is an all or nothing horse in here, Tom. 7 times the horse has made it onto the synthetic track, won 3 of them. As you can see here, if he pops, going to be a price at 20-1. Let's see who pops on the predictor.
Well, that's the more important thing.
Yes, because this is going to be more accurate than you and I. Boom! One of us has that horse. I have Bascule. All right, yeah, so maybe we're going to get a winner in there.
The favorite.
And then your horse.
I mean, going from 4-1 to 2-1. Somebody put some money on that horse.
Yeah, one of those princes that lives over there. Mollywood, your horse right there, Tom, for a nose for second. Sarson's Risk, another one that we had in there, right in there too, with a nose. So it looks like a photo finish at the end with a nod going to Bascule. It'd be interesting to see if that's how it plays out. All right, the last race you and I are going to cover for Foreign Friday, Tom, is the last race on the card over there. That one's going to kick off at approximately 3:15 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be 8:15 p.m. local time for those of you watching on the other side of the Atlantic. This time they're going to go 1 mile and 3 furlongs. So on 1 mile and 3 furlongs, they're going to start here. They're going to make that trip around the track and come back. So this one's only going to be 2 turns, Thomas. With that in mind, I still think if they're going to start right here and that turn's coming pretty quickly, I would still want my horse to get into a good tactical position going into that turn. Do you think or agree with that?
Yeah. The thing with this race, of course, is these are, some horses have never won a race. Some horses have never wanted to win a race. So it's going to, a lot of jockey movement will be there, and where you can get that horse in a position to hit that turn comfortably, because this is a weird bunch.
Yeah, that's putting it politely. When we were doing this, when I was handicapping this race, I was like, whoa, this one's and you alluded to it at the top about some of these races not being the best. I think that one falls completely into that category. So since
it's a class 6 race, which is the lowest you can get. So that should tell you a lot right there. So think of this as a $2,500 claimer.
Well, in a $2,500 claimer at a track we don't know, might as well take a price to get started. I did. Well, it's not a price now. Holy hell, it was a price when I looked at him. We'll talk about that in a second. What do you got?
I went with number 10, Quida, I don't know.
Kayati.
I'll go with that. Signs of Life, I liked in this last race. Ran third, 12 furlong race at Lingfield. Slow start, went forward, probably got used a little too much, and didn't finish. Went off at 33-1. I'm going to get good odds again. But I thought there was a little more to that race than meets the eye in terms of paper. He's run a series of really races I would call average to bad. But I think that forwardly placed maybe gets a little better start, a little better trip. He's a lightweight in terms of the weight that getting out to carry in this race, and with that little extra, maybe. Last race was first time on the all-weather, so never been over this track before. Well, he has been over this track before, so why not? And at the price with this field, it's why not?
Before you move on, Tom, I'm just note if you're watching us, and if Tom says signs of life, your ears better perk up, because his signs of life horses have gone off at 100-1 and managed to win. So that's it's one of those calling cards of Thomas, one of his proprietary angles. So make sure you mark that one down in your mental notes. Pardon me for interrupting, Tom.
No, absolutely. No, and I appreciate that, because I try to find those little hidden more, and I will caution this, and this is the kind of race reason I say that is because I look at that for signs of life in those maiden claimers, especially. A horse that hasn't done anything and then all of a sudden finishes more forwardly placed than it has in the past. And then I like going, maybe it's finally waking up. Okay, number 1, the Bay Warrior is going to be my next choice. Got draw number 1 too. He had a pretty good effort last time out. He ran 4th. He was pushed early, and just got it finished, and ran 3rd. He could have been in there, but close, but not. This horse likes the all-weather, but he also likes to finish 2nd on the all-weather. He did that 7 times. He has some wins too, but that's a lot of seconds for a horse at this level. That's why I give him a chance. So throw him in there. He shortens up in distance too today. That may help. And finally, I'm going to take number 8, Trusty Scott, with draw 7. Ran 3rd with issues in the final furlong last out. Comes off a winning effort before that at Kempton. So it has run okay here. Shows form. I think it just, they're going to bet it, but I'd rather take a long shot because of the type of race this is.
All right. So we agree on one horse in the last 2 races. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I mentioned I'm going to take a shot to get started here. Well, 4-1 right now, Thomas. This horse started at 20.
Not quite a shot, but it's also one that's never won.
But look at the opening odds, 20-1.
I know,
and it's down to 4-1. You think somebody knows something somewhere in there, Tom?
Oh, that's a big movement.
That is a big move, and especially for a horse that's trying the all-weather for the first time. Maybe the training sessions over there have been lights out.
Yeah.
The best race for this horse came in its 2nd start after a layoff, just like today, and that was after switching tracks, just like today. I thought, you know what? I'll play that angle, track switch, surface switch in another try at 20-1. Looks like some other people think the same thing, Tom. Maybe too many. Distinction.
Yeah, looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what something going
on. I
there.
wouldn't complain about those odds. I mean, let's face it. That's not so bad.
Yeah, but I mean, the early betting to me, that's one of the things I like to look at is the opening lines on horses when I'm watching live at the track, because a lot of folks that work at the track, they don't have time to go make their bets during the day. So they'll go in and place their money. And this is my theory. I don't know how accurate this is or not, but they'll go in and place their money before the day starts on the races. So the track money, the people who are actually seeing what's happening in the training sessions, their money is the first money that's reflected when the money pools open. And you see that a lot of times those horses that maybe 8-1, 7-1 that get bet down to maybe 5-2 on the opening line, they'll drift back up because everybody else is looking at the past performances. But so many of those horses do really, really well. Anyway, so the opening money on Lemon Ice, that might be an indication there too. Distinction, my 2nd choice. This one, Thomas. 3rd start after a layoff. Our good friend, Charming Charles's favorite handicapping angle in there. Probably the first one everybody learns too. This one I feel is going to be well positioned, Tom. Probably mid-pack, sitting 4th, 5th. And then make that move, that one big move coming out of the stretch, and try to carry that momentum to the finish line. Latest edition, the 3-horse, getting the third nod for me. Getting a tip from somebody else as well. This is another horse that's making the classic third start after layoff, and it showed some improvement in the second start relative to the first one. And much like you, I think this is a horse, much like you felt with your Signs of Life. This one looks to me like it's coming into form. And then finally, it took us, 7, 10, 11 horses to finally agree on one. Bay Warrior, the one horse, is my last selection, Tom. If anybody's going to go wire to wire in this field, this is the horse that's going to do it. As you mentioned, Tom, he relinquished the lead late last time after being up front and is cutting back in distance today. The stamina will be there because he ran longer last time, and the benefit of running a shorter distance should work to the Bay Warriors' favor. Let's see who the predictor favors. Voila. I'm going to be this guy right there. Boom. Trusty Scout. I think you mentioned that one there, Thomas.
For third.
Mm-hmm. Latest edition and coming in a close second. And then the Bay Warrior, the one we both agree on, Tom, right there for third. So, I mean, that would be a nice exacta trifecta based upon the picks that you and I made. We'll take that. No?
Nope. I will definitely take that.
All right. Well, that wraps up our first Foreign Friday of 2024. We'll have plenty more Foreign Fridays, especially as we head into the peak of the racing season below the equator down there in Australia. And then as we head towards the spring over in Europe, Thomas, long way away from spring over there in here, but what's on the possibilities list for next week?
Well, always Hong Kong. I have to look at Australia. I don't remember what was going on down there, but we'll be one of those two. I would love to do Dubai, but unfortunately, when they race in Meydan, it's on either Thursday or Friday, so it doesn't really fit with our schedule.
Well, one of the things you can do then, Tom, what's your Twitter handle? So I know you like to post things on Twitter when you're betting them. So if folks want to keep up with you, where will they find you?
At TJD Horse Player.
TJD Horse Player. Tomorrow, one of the things we're going to start doing in 2024 over on horseracingtoday.net. For those of you who watch the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday show, we run through a lot of data over there. Monday and Tuesday, of course, we do Parks, Terry, and I. Wednesday and Thursday, with Charles for Tampa Bay and Gulfstream Park. But I went ahead and I'm going to start doing every race for the Derby Trail and took a look at tomorrow's Jerome Stakes over at horseracingtoday.net. You see all the informations there. Some other things you may or may not have seen on our show. So you can find that again over at horseracingtoday.net if you plan on making any wagers on the Jerome. This will be, make sure that you're as prepared as anybody. Of course,
you're going to do the foreign route to the Kentucky Derby?
Well, you can do that one. Because I don't have it. Let me revise that. I'm going to do all the North American races where all the data is available.
Well, that's why I had to ask the question, because there's Japanese route and Meydan plays a role in Dubai. And there, so there are other places that you can get to the starting gate.
But unfortunately, they don't provide the same information that I can get over here.
It's very different.
Yes, very much so. So if the data is available, I will go ahead and create that. Again, horseracingtoday.net. There's a link in the description down there below. Also, you'll find a link to Horse Guaranteed Tip Sheet. We get free tracks over there every single day. I believe today's free track is Laurel Park. Saturday will likely be Golden Gate Fields. You can use that link every day. Kindly use the one here or the ones that you find on horseracingtoday.net or on any of our social sites, on X, which used to be Twitter. Some people still call it Twitter. In fact, when you put it in, it says Twitter and then your name. So I'm confused about that. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of those different places. You can follow us over there, and you will be up to speed with all the great things that we are doing here. Kindly help us get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube next year or this year in 2024 by hitting the subscribe button, hitting the share button, and then, of course, sharing all of our content with your horse racing friends, no matter how it is you communicate. Any final thoughts, Tom, before you and I part ways on the opening week of 2024?
Oh, If you have good all-weather form, maybe you'll do well at Kempton.
Is there such thing?
Well, we got Turfway Park that can drive you absolutely mad.
That's what I'm saying. Is there such thing as good form on all weather? Because it's like I'm just pull, sometimes I feel like when you do some of those all weather tracks, just a good old fashioned random number generator out of Excel might do just as well.
And probably more accurate too.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for today, folks. Certainly, we hope we appreciate you joining us, and we hope no matter what you're doing for the rest of this weekend, as you head into the second week of 2024, if God's grace, God's favor, stay away from those South Florida aliens, and that every single thing that you do ends up with, oh, one last thing. Happy birthday. Not to you, but a friend of mine. Don't know who they are. All right, Tom. We hope no matter what you're doing for the rest of today, this weekend, it ends up in our favorite place. That is
return as a winner into the winner's enclosure.
Absolutely. Have a fantastic weekend.